What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the MichiganAmbushoutdoors.com YouTube page. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about how I modified my original Lone Wolf climbing sticks to make my overall setup a little lighter and a little more compact. So without a doubt, mobile hunting is one of the most talked about things in the hunting industry today. Anywhere you look, people are constantly debating about, should I saddle hunt? Should I hunt out of traditional style stand like a Lone Wolf Assault or a Lone Wolf custom gear? But either way that you decide to go, saddle or traditional style, it definitely does not come without its own set of challenges. And me personally, the first thing that I ran into when getting into mobile hunting was trying to figure out a way to lighten my overall setup and then make it more compact so I could get a little further and then go into some of those more dense areas. So the way that I actually overcame those two challenges was by modifying my original Lone Wolf climbing sticks. And in this week's video, I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step tutorial on how I made these modifications, why I took this approach, and then I'm going to also talk about some of the pros and cons about going with a full-length stick versus a short stick. So just real quick, I just want to throw this out there. I'm not sponsored by Eastern Woods Outdoors, but I did purchase all these products directly from their website. I will list a detailed parts breakdown in the description below, as well as a link to their site. They are a Michigan-based company. When I reached out to them and was interested in modifying my sticks, obviously I had a ton of questions and they were super helpful. So I would highly encourage you, if you are interested in any type of climbing stick parts or any other mobile hunting accessories, make sure you guys go check out their website. They're really good people. Like I said, super friendly and super helpful. Now, before we get into diving into how I modified the sticks, I just want to quickly talk about the original Lone Wolf climbing sticks for people who may be new to mobile hunting or thinking about purchasing them. So the original Lone Wolf climbing sticks come as a 3-step stick. The overall spacing between those steps is roughly 15 inches, and then the overall length of that stick is 32 inches. Now, when I weighed my stick, I'm a big fan of double steps, so I had a double step on the top, and then I kept the 2 single steps, and then I weighed it with a cableator and also the cam buckle, and it came in right about 3 pounds. So again, I was looking for a way to reduce my overall setup. Now, for my overall setup, I only ran 3 full-length sticks, so I was sitting right around 9 pounds, plus the stand I was a little over 20, and that did not include any of my gear. So as I mentioned earlier in the video, I was constantly looking for ways to get a little lighter and then get a little bit more compact, and that's what's going to kind of lead us into how I modified these sticks. So with the approach that I took, the first thing that you need to decide on is you need to decide if you're going to run double steps or if you're going to run the traditional single steps that come on the Lone Wolf sticks when you buy them. And the reason that I say that is because that is going to determine how long you're going to cut this stick down. So what I did, knowing that I was going to run double steps, is I actually measured 17¼ inches from the top of the step, made my mark, removed my middle hardware, and then I made my cut. Once you make your cut, you are going to want to clean that up a little bit with like a file or a Dremel, just to try to get that as flat as you possibly can and remove some of those burrs. But that's what I did. Now, if you decide that you do want to run a single step, then what I would recommend is that you cut this stick at 18 inches. And the reason that I say that is you can see here on this stick that I only have about a ½ inch of material hanging off the bottom, and that allows me to lay another stick on top and stack them as you originally would when you buy them. If you're going to run a single step and you cut them at 17¼ inches, there's that stopper bolt which keeps that step from rotating 360 degrees. With that stopper bolt in, you're not going to have enough room for that tree bracket to grab a hold of that tubular aluminum. So cut that stick at 18 inches and you'll be perfectly fine. So like I said, that's the first step that you guys need to decide. You need to figure out double steps versus single steps. So once you've made your decision on running double steps versus single steps and you've made your cut, the next thing that you actually need to do is you need to go ahead and flip the stick and take your top hardware and relocate it to where you made your cut. And that's actually going to be your new top step. And the reason that you're going to do that is because if you look here, this was originally the top of my stick. You can see that that Versa button is below the center line height of this stick. So once you flip it and relocate your top hardware, this Versa button is now above the center line of this stick. So once you put it on the tree, it's going to allow you to get a super nice bite. Now these sticks definitely bite way better than the original Lone Wolf climbing sticks. If anyone's used the traditional 32-inch stick, you know that there's issues with those sticks kicking out. I always experienced when I was actually climbing down from the tree, the stick would either pull away and then kick left to right. You're for sure going to experience it less. I'm not going to say it's never going to happen, but the reason that it grips better to the tree is because these V brackets are so much closer together. Now we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons with going with a shorter stick versus the full length stick. And obviously the first disadvantage when cutting your stick down is how high that you're going to be able to get up the tree. Now if you are the person, or if you're a type of person that's running full length sticks without any cableator, then this setup with a cableator is a no-brainer, because what this cableator allows you to do is it basically turns your stick back into a full length 32-inch stick with that reduced weight. Now where you are going to see that disadvantage is if you're running a full-length stick with an aider, which I was doing in the beginning of the year. And by running a full-length stick with an aider, what that allowed me to do is it basically allowed me to position the top step of that stick above my head, and then I could go ahead and cinch it down and climb it in, and right off the rip I was getting 6 feet. Now with this setup, being that it is a mini stick, obviously I'm not going to be able to get it that high, but I can still get this stick about nose level and then go ahead and cinch it down. So I'm not losing that much height. I am running three mini sticks with 3 cableators, so realistically I can probably still get anywhere from 12 to 15 feet depending on where I am in the hunting season. Obviously the colder it gets, the more clothing I have, which kind of limits how far you can get. But if you're a super athletic person and you can space these sticks out, I definitely don't think that you'd have any issue with getting 15 feet. Now, kind of talking about the advantages of cutting down the stick, obviously the first one is going to be the weight reduction. I mentioned it before, my original sticks, the way that I was running them with a double step, 2 single steps and a cableator and a cam buckle, I was right around 3 pounds. This whole setup here, and I did not have stealth strips on my sticks, but with this setup, 2 double steps, stealth strips, cableator and cam buckle, I'm riding just a hair over 2 pounds. So I've reduced my overall stick setup by 3 pounds. Now the next advantage with cutting down the stick is just how compact these are. When I was running the sticks, because I had the double step, the only way that I found to efficiently attach those to the stand was to basically lay them flat and then use a bungee cord all the way around it. Now I do keep my seat flipped up so I can have a shelf, so I was not able to kind of utilize that to position those sticks a little bit lower on that stand. So what that was creating for me is it was creating overhang on the top, and it was also creating overhang on the bottom. And the problem that I ran into is I was constantly banging my bow off the bottom or the top, and it was driving me nuts. And then also, as I tried to get into some of those harder to reach areas that are a little more dense, I was getting hung up on brush constantly, making a ton of noise, and it was just not a quiet process. So again, running these this way makes the whole overall setup way more compact than what it was before. And I'll show you a side-by-side picture of how I was running it and then now what it looks like with the double steps, so you guys can get an idea of that. The next advantage of cutting down your sticks, and we already kind of talked about it, is the fact that these do bite way better to the tree versus the original Lone Wolf sticks, the full length ones. You're gonna experience way less kick out. Now, like I said, I'm not gonna say it's never gonna happen again, but it will definitely happen less, at least in my experience. So I feel like cutting the sticks down makes them just safer overall. I'm all about safety. I always wear a harness. I always wear a lineman's belt going up and down the tree. So if I can make my mobile hunting setup safer to ensure that I get home without any broken bones or without any scrapes and bruises, then I'm all about that. So that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. Please consider subscribing. Your guys' support of this channel greatly helps us out and keeps us doing what we're doing. And if you guys have not already checked out the MichiganAmbushoutdoors.com webpage, please go over there and check that out. It's not a requirement that you guys buy anything, but we did put a ton of time into that website, so your guys' feedback is greatly appreciated. And then keep in mind, we do have some merch available. We have hats, beanies, shirts, and your guys' purchases of our merch greatly helps us out, and like I said, keeps us doing what we're doing. So that's it. We'll see you guys on the next one.